welcome back to my YouTube. I sort of struggled to really know what kind of video to make, so because this is the start of a new series, or start of the only series I've done on YouTube, I just thought I would just tell you a bit about myself, a bit about the last year, which has been a bit of a whirlwind for me. Just tell you what I'm about, where I'm at, and what my plans are. So I came from a small town, Nambucca Heads, which is about 4 hours south of where I am now. So I'm currently in the Gold Coast in Burleigh. I lived in Nambucca, I lived in Yunga, which was half an hour south of Nambucca, for about 10 years. My parents went through a breakup, and then me and my brother and sister and my mum moved up to Nambucca, which was just half an hour north. And then I lived there for about 16 or 17 years. And I lived with my mum. So I literally only just moved out of home. I moved in and out of home a few times while I was in Nambucca, but I only just moved out of Nambucca itself about 15 months ago. So in Nambucca, it's sort of a little quiet town, amazing place, awesome people, but there was a lot of crime. There's a lot of people that I sort of mixed in with that took me down the wrong path. I lost a lot of friends through to drugs and jail and that kind of thing. So there was a few times where I did go off where I should have been, and I'm sure everyone has that kind of story in their past as well, but this is not at all trying to get people feeling sorry for me or anything like that. I'm just literally telling you about my past and about how I got to where I am now. So yeah, I went to Nambucca High, I went to Nambucca Primary. I was captain of Nambucca Primary School. So when I moved up to Nambucca, I was only there for a year, and then I got captain the next year, and then went on to go to Nambucca High School. Made some awesome friends, and they're still my friends to this day. And I pretty much, once I left school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just got what I could. There wasn't a lot of work. Nambucca was one of the lowest employment rates in New South Wales, so it was a struggle to get work. At the same time, I probably didn't try as hard as I should have. So my first job was working at Woolworths as a checkout chick. So I did that for about 2 years, and then I got fired from there because I turned up to work hungover and I spewed in someone's shopping bag. So not proud of it, but that was my first job. I then moved on to doing some labour work, so I did some concreting for a little bit. I just sort of went like a couple of months where I'd work, and then a couple of months where I wouldn't work at all, and kept doing that for a bit of a vicious cycle for a good 5 or 6 years. Like I said, got mixed up with the wrong stuff, drugs, partying, all that kind of thing, and then got my first serious relationship when I was 23, and that sort of brought me back to wanting to find a career, wanting to improve what my life was, and so I started working a lot more. It was more just labour work, so it wasn't anything career orientated. It was just getting what I could once again, but I was doing a lot more of work instead of working, stop working, stop working. So I started working. My dad got me a job at a nursery, which I did for about 12 months. It was about a 45 minute drive there and back to and from work, and I got pretty over that and quit that job. At the same time, sorry, I haven't told you about gym. I started gym when I was 19. My mum got a job as a manager at the local indoor sports pool and gym, and I got a free membership through that. Started training because I used to be super skinny, like I was 68 kilos, wringing wet. And I just couldn't really stand up for myself. And the main thing that I started going to the gym was to build a bit of size, which also gave me some respect. And I gained the respect that I didn't end up having to stand up for myself anymore. So that aspect kept me going. But I also fell in love with the gym itself, just getting the pump, getting the, like, looking better and better every day, always improving. It's health. So I just fell in love with it straight away, and I was one of the only people in our little group, our little circle of friends that actually went to the gym. I had a few friends that would go for a bit and then they'd stop, and they'd go for a bit and they'd stop, but I kept to it. I was only doing like 4 or 5 days a week and just doing bicep curls, side lateral raises and bench press, and that's what I would do every single day. So I did that. I continued doing that. So back to where I was 23, had a partner, I was working, I was training. I quit the job because it was such a big drive to and from work. I know that's no excuse, but I ended up going on the dole for a while, and that relationship fell through. Wasn't supposed to be. And then what happened from there? I actually hit rock bottom. That's about 2015, when I went through the breakup. I was smoking a lot of weed and I got super depressed, and I literally didn't leave my house for a couple of weeks and just laid in bed feeling sorry for myself. Not proud of it, not trying to get sympathy, but that's where my life turned around massively. Like, that's the biggest turning point that I think has happened to me. And I always say that you need to go to rock bottom to really turn things around and to get that drive and that motivation to make something of yourself. And I did exactly that. So went through that breakup, went through that really rough patch, a month or two where I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't do anything at all. Like, I literally just sat at home. I still trained, but that was the only time that I could sort of clear my head. And I ended up going to TAFE and doing my PT course. And to start with, that only reason I did that was to improve my knowledge on health and fitness. I had no intention of getting a job in the industry at all. At the time I was doing bar work, so I had an income. I was doing split shifts, and I was just, stuck in doing that. And then during the PT course at TAFE, I did a 10-week body transformation challenge with ASN, and I ended up winning that nationally. So Australia-wide, I took out first place for a transformation. So it was just a before photo and an after photo that got judged, and then they drew the winner. So I got I think it was a $5,000 travel voucher. And then what I did with that was I shouted my 5 best mates over to Bali with me. So I paid for the accommodation, and that's, like, I could have spent it on myself. And I'm just not someone, I don't like to travel on my own. I don't like to do things on my own. I'd rather have a good crew, fun times, and that's what I did. So we went over to Bali, had an awesome time, came back, and then I decided that I wanted to do my first comp. So my first comp was 2016 in possibly April, and that was ICN, so that was an all-natural comp. I did men's physique, which is what I'm going to be doing in February, in I think it's 12 weeks now. So that was my first competition. I did really well. I came first. I loved the whole process. The whole way through the prep, because it is super mentally hard, especially the first time doing it, and especially because I coached myself. That whole prep, I told myself, I'm never doing this again. This is not worth it. I missed out. Like, the night before my comp was one of my best mates' weddings, and I literally had to sit there and watch everyone have an awesome time. I had a good time, but I couldn't drink and socialise, and I couldn't eat all the good food. And being my first comp, it just rattled me. I literally said, I'm never ever doing this again. And then I got on stage, and just that feeling of accomplishment, and you just see the whole 16-week prep go before your eyes and how far you've come, and the feeling of that, just as soon as I got off that stage, because I did a few categories, I did first timers, novice and opens. As soon as I got off that stage, I told my mum and my mates that I can't wait to do it again. As hard as the prep was mentally and physically, it was just such a good feeling of accomplishment getting up on that stage, especially winning. That definitely helped. It gave me a sense that I had the genetics, and that was a gift that I wanted to pursue. So after that comp, I blew out. I put on 25 kilos in 3 months. I got super down and out, and it took me 2 years to get back in the mind frame of actually prepping for another competition. And then I think it was 2018 October Pro-Am, Wbff was the next comp that I did. So leading into that comp prep, I lost a lot of my weight, that 25 kilos that I gained leading into before I even started prep. So I was still probably 10 or 12 kilos above what I was on stage as I started prep. Once again, I coached myself. I just felt like it was really hard for me to say, I was just too proud that I had coached myself the first one. I knew I could do it. I knew that I had enough people around me to bounce off and to get help if I needed it. So I did that comp prep, got to comp day. I did the morning show, and I had all these guys come out the back after the morning show that I looked up to so much, that were WBFF pros, that came out the back and pulled me aside, and they were like, mate, you've got this in the bag, you've absolutely nailed it. If you come in a little bit drier, a little bit better for this next comp, this evening part of the comp, then you're gonna take the win. So I actually had Chris Webb, one of the pros, and Brad Fraser. They told me what I should go and eat. So they said to have heaps of salt, heaps of potato chips, and a steak, which I did exactly that. Went home, laid up, came back, and I ended up placing 4th, which was a bit of a letdown because I had so much hype and so much of a talk up to then come 4th. But in saying that, it made me so hungry to go again. And that's where I said in my last video, I just got stuck in the mind frame of going for a pro card. That WBFF show was a toss up. I didn't know whether I was going to do Ifbb or Wbff first. Wbff ended up being the first comp, and I had planned on doing Ifbb after that, but like I said, I got stuck in that mind frame of getting my pro card. And because I did so well, 4th out of, there was like a 30 people in the lineup, so it was a big lineup. To come 4th out of 30 people was pretty insane for my first WBFF comp. And so I decided that was it. I was just going to knuckle down and just do back-to-back shows until I got my pro card, and that's exactly what I did. So the next show was May 2019, I believe, which was the Gold Coast show again. I prepped myself again. I knew where I needed to improve. I needed to come in leaner. I got the judges' feedback, and I did exactly that, and I ended up winning. And every time I stepped on stage leading up to this, it was just a better feeling and a better feeling and a better feeling. And then I got the win, and that was like cemented in my mind that what I was doing was the right thing. So I decided that I was going to go another back-to-back show and do my first pro show as soon as I possibly could. At this point, I'm still living in Nambucca. I still was doing a little bit of bar work and a little bit of online training, but I hadn't started online training full time. It was just sort of a side hustle, which I was doing. It was for fun, but it was to, like, I had a lot of people in Nambucca that looked up to me, and I really enjoyed helping them. So it ended up turning into a bit of a side hustle where I was getting paid for it, and I just really enjoyed that, and I never thought that I would end up doing it full time. So between May and October was the pro show, so I got my pro card in May. I decided I was going to do the October show, which is the Pro-Am in the Gold Coast, which was 12 months after my first Wbff. And leading into that, I got a message from a guy that I knew from Coffs Harbour, which was just north of Nambucca, and he said he had a spare room and asked if I wanted to move up to the Gold Coast. And I'd always wanted to move up to the Gold Coast, but I'm pretty shy and not very outgoing, and I used to second guess whether I'm going to meet anyone, whether I'm going to be able to fit in, whether I'm meant for the Gold Coast, and it held me back for a long time. But that room came up. I didn't know this bloke very well. I just knew of him because he was from Coffs, which is local to Nambucca, and I just bit the bullet. I was in a good mind frame. I loved what I was doing and where I was at, and just leading into that, I'd just gone full time into online coaching. So I dropped my bar work. I decided I was just focusing fully on the comp. I wasn't earning a lot of money. And then, so 6 or 8 weeks out from my Pro-Am, my pro debut, I moved up the Gold Coast and did my last 6 weeks prep there. And then at that Pro-Am, I met Josh Phillips, Brad Fraser actually was someone I really looked up to, and he presented me my pro card when I won it in May. And that was a fucking awesome feeling. And leading into the Pro-Am, Brad wasn't actually doing the show, but Josh was. And I just got talking to Josh because he was another pro that was making his debut. We just spoke on Instagram. I'd never met him personally. I'd met Brad a couple of times just at the comps. And the guy that I moved in with up here had planned on having all of us pros move in, because he was a Wbff pro as well, all of us pros move in together and sort of have like a pro house, Wbff pro house. And it was going to be me, Josh, Brad, and I don't want to name the other guy because we had a falling out. So that was the plan. So I moved up here. I was the first one. I took a room and then did my 6 weeks of comp prep, did the pro show. I ended up coming 4th, I think, which I was happy with. And a week later, so I met Josh face to face at the Pro-Am. A week later, he moved up from Tasmania, and we just got along like a house on fire straight away. Like, we are so similar in our personalities. Like, we're not super outgoing, but love a good laugh. And he moved in a week after the pro comp. And yeah, like I said, straight away, we were training partners. We were hanging out every day. We lived together. And the plan was that Brad was going to move up late December or late November, early December. And he was going to move into the same house that we were in. The week that he decided he was going to move up, there was a bit of a falling out. I don't really want to go into it because it's it's not something that I want to bring up, but we had a falling out with the guy that I moved in with. It didn't work out. The other girl, Lily, that was sharing a room at the same place, Brad was going to take over her room, and then we had the falling out. Me and Josh said, we're going to move out on our own. Asked Lily if she wanted to move out as well, because it was a falling out with her as well. She said yes. So me, Josh, Brad, Lily started looking for a house. Within a week, we found one in Burleigh. We didn't really care where we were moving or what the house was, but it turned out it was an awesome location. This is it now. I'm still here. So we all moved in, and yeah, had such an awesome time. And then COVID came. So in October, leading into moving into this house, I bring out my online fitness training app. Online coaching really started blowing up, and I started earning some really good money. Loved what I was doing. COVID came, everyone freaked out. I lost 70 or 80% of my clients because they just freaked out about the whole gym thing. They were losing money, they couldn't afford it. And I hit rock bottom massively. Like, this is probably the second and hardest rock bottom I've hit. Luckily I had Josh and Brad around me. They really helped, and throughout COVID we weren't allowed to leave the house, so I turned to TikTok. That was my escape. We had a little home gym, so we were still training, doing TikToks, same old. And then, so I was earning $200 a week, couldn't afford rent, could hardly afford food. We were all in the same situation. None of us really had any money, but we sort of had to make do with what we had and with each other. And I guess if I didn't have them, I don't know where I'd be, because we just turned into every day was just such a fun vibe, and like we just had such an awesome time through COVID. It was weird, and I feel for everyone that went through a hard time. I'm not saying that I'm the only one, because I've seen and I know a lot of people that went through it. But once again, hitting rock bottom really motivated me to get back on my feet. And then I met my amazing partner that I'm with now, Courtney. So that was pretty much because of COVID. I slid into her DMs. I told her I was going through a really rough patch, and she offered to go for a walk with me. Actually, I asked her to go for a walk with me. We went for a walk. We sort of talked a little bit here and there for a month or two, and then started hanging out. And then Josh ended up moving out with his partner, Demi. Brad ended up moving out with his partner, Bridget. And me and Lily stayed here. Lily's partner moved in, and that's the situation at the moment with living. So after a few months of me and Courtney hanging out, we ended up getting together. It didn't work straight away. I sort of freaked out a bit, and I'll take full blame. I didn't realise what I had. It was literally, she's an online coach. She's absolutely killing it. She's motivational. She trains. She diets. She understands everything that I do. It's everything that I wanted in a girl, but I just stupidly didn't see that straight away. We had a little bit of a break, and we still hung out as really good friends, like nearly best friends. Nothing really changed. We just weren't together. But then I realized that I was fucking stupid for doing that, and I pretty much begged her to take me back, and we're still together and happier than ever, and hopefully moving out very soon. So at the moment, she's in a really good spot with, she prepped for, we were both prepping for October Pro-Am, which obviously COVID put a stop to, but she had booked photo shoots. So she continued to go with her diet and her training and her plan for the comp, and absolutely nailed it. Like, I'm so proud of how far she's come and how far she's still pushing so hard, and it just motivates me every day. Having a partner like that is just the best thing ever. So that's where we're at. I'm currently 12 weeks out from my first Ifbb comp, which means I'll be losing my Wbff Pro card. Courtney's looking at maybe doing April. She won't really decide until maybe January, because she's so far ahead of the ball game if she does decide anyway. So she doesn't really need to decide that until January, and it's just going to be a matter of where she's at, if she's in a good place, if she wants, I'm not pressuring her, she's not pressuring herself. It's just, we're just going to take it by day, take it by year. She will fucking kill it if she does it, but like I said, totally up to her. So yeah, 12 weeks out, currently 92 kilos, 91, 92. My calories are at 2,800 for 4 days and 3,600 for 3 days, and that's going to change over time. So I don't plan things, I just assess as I go, and that's pretty much my life. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys didn't get bored, but I thought before I just started putting all these videos up of my training and my prep and all that kind of thing, I would just give you guys an insight of where I've come from, what I'm about, and where I'm heading. Online coaching has picked up massively. Like, I'm doing better than I ever have in my life. And I forgot something else. When I hit rock bottom, I had invested every cent that I had, which was, I'm just going to say it, 120 grand. And since then, the investment has been a fraud. So I've lost that 120 grand. That's part of the reason that I hit such a low point in my life through COVID, because at the start of COVID, I was getting a return on that investment, and that return was more than enough to live off. So even though I was earning $200 from online coaching, I had nothing to worry about because I had this investment that was bringing me a return every month that was more than easily enough to live off. And then as soon as I found out that the guy that I invested it with just stopped replying to me, and that was, like I said, that was the toughest time of my life, and that was the lowest point I've ever been. I had 2 years ago, I'd lost 20 grand with Bitcoin, no, 40 grand with Bitcoin, which was a house deposit that I ended up choosing not to spend on a house and chose to invest it in Bitcoin and tried to trade it and just lost it. Stupidly, I should have kept it because at the moment Bitcoin's going off. But at the moment, I've made investments into stocks which are doing really well. My business is doing really well. My relationship is doing really well. My mindset is really good, and I'm just in a really positive and happy place. And that's why I said previously that once you hit rock bottom, it really does turn your life around. And I guess some people need to go through that to value life and to really aim in and hone in on what they want in life and make the decisions that they have been too scared to make. And that's what happened to me. So this has been going for quite a while, 26 minutes, and I think that's enough. But that is pretty much my life from day dot to now, 31 years old, living in the Gold Coast, loving life, loving everything, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or if you have anything that you want to see more of on my YouTube, comment below. I'm not very creative, so I need all the ideas that I can possibly get. I'm obviously going to do some training and dieting stuff, but yeah, I don't really know what you guys want to see. I literally got 80 people watch my first video, which sort of made me not want to do another one, but here I am, and hopefully I can make it interesting and keep these episodes coming. I'm going to try and do one every week. And yeah, so if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's going to be bodybuilding, business, motivation, mindset, all that kind of thing. Please like, comment, turn the notifications on, support me as much as you can. Follow me on Instagram, @JarrettMartinFitness_WBFF Pro, hopefully to change to Ifbb Pro. And I hope you all have an amazing day.